Alright, I want to look at this speedometer problem here. First thing I got to do is figure out what they're telling me about the tire. What's the radius of the tire? They tell me the diameter of the metal rim is 14.5 inches, so that's this part here. And then there's rubber on the outside, and the wording is and 4.55 inch tires. Well, is that 4.55 inch here and here, or is that the total of the rubber is 4.55? That is, am I adding the 4.55 onto the radius or onto the diameter? I think it's the way I have it drawn, that it's 4.55 on either side. Just trying to picture how thick a tire is on a car. It's about 4.5 inches of rubber on either side. Okay, so it looks to me like the radius. Oops, what just happened here? It looks to me like the radius of the tire is going to be half of the 14.5, because I only want that much of it, right? And then add on the 4.55. So that's what's that? 7.25 plus 4. So 7.25 plus 4.55. That's 11.8 inches. Okay. Now, what I need to do for part A is I got to take 55 miles per hour and convert it to, what are they asking for? Rotations per second. So miles per hour, and I want to end up with rotations per second. Okay. So, let's do that. 55 miles per hour. The first thing I want to do is I want to convert hours into seconds. So I'm going to say, let's see, 1 hour is 60 minutes, and 1 minute is 60 seconds. So that's 55 divided by 3,600. That's miles per second, which is equal to, I type it in my calculator, 0.0152777, repeating. This is miles per second. Okay, so now I'm going to take that. In fact, I'm not going to use the decimal, I'm going to use the fraction. I'm going to take that 55 over 3,600 miles per second, and now I need to convert the miles into inches. The thing is, the relationship between the rotation and the length of arc is when you're talking about the radians and the radius. Well, the radius is in inches, and I'm measuring the arc length in miles, so I better convert it to inches. So I got okay, so I got to convert miles to inches. So here we go. What do I know? I know that 1 mile is 5,280 feet, and I know that 1 foot is 12 inches. So I'm going to type that into my calculator, and I end up with 968 inches per second. Okay. Now I can convert that into radians per second, because the 968 inches per second, well, every radian is worth the radius worth of inches, and that's 11.8 inches. Each radian of turn is worth 11.8 inches. And then I can convert it into rotations as well, because 1 rotation is worth 2 pi radians. So let me type that into my calculator. So that's 13.0561 whatever rotations per second. When you're traveling 55 miles an hour, the wheels are spinning at essentially 13 rotations per second. Okay, so I think that's the answer to part A. Now, for part B, you buy bigger tires and you drive at a constant speed of 60 miles per hour. Yeah. They changed it from 55 to 60. So what I want to look at is that if I did 60 miles an hour, I would have started here with 60 instead of 55. This would have been a 60 instead of 55. The only difference is I'd have been multiplying by 60 instead of 55. So to convert it, at 60 miles per hour, I'm going to just take this number here and divide by 55 and multiply by 60. I'm going to divide that 55 out of there, and I'm going to put that 60 in. So if I can do this, I'm going to take my last output, I'm going to divide by 55 and multiply by 60. So the same calculation at 60 miles an hour would say that the wheels are spinning at 14.243 rotations per second. Okay? So with the old tires, 60 miles an hour would be 14.23 rotations per second. But now I say, wait, I got new tires. So now my radius is, instead of, where are we up here? So instead of this 7.5, instead of 7.25, sorry, 7.25 plus 4.55, my wheels, my rubber is now 5.65. So when I add those up, there's 12.9. Yes, that's 12.9 inches. Okay. So I got 12.9 inch radius. So at 14.243 rotations per second, I'm just going to essentially do this problem backwards now. 14.243 rotations per second. I'm going to multiply by one rotation is 2 pi radians, and 1 radian is worth, I've already forgotten what's my new radius, 12.9. I had this number right here, I've forgotten that already, is worth 12.9 inches. And so I'll type that into my calculator. So let's see, so that's equal to 1154.44 inches per second. Okay. Now I just got to turn that into miles per hour. Okay. So here we go at miles per hour. So this is 1154.44 inches per second. So let's see, the inches, I've got 12 inches per 1 foot. I've got 5,280 foots per mile. And so that converts the inches into miles. Now I've got to turn the seconds into hours. So 1 minute is worth 60 seconds. And 1 hour is worth 60 minutes. So if I cancel out all the labels, I think I'm in miles per hour. So I'm going to do that calculation. It's essentially 65.6 miles per hour. So you think you're doing 60, but you're doing 65.6. Okay. Now, to do part C, they say, oh, wait a minute, you got smaller tires, and they want you to do it at 30 miles an hour. So I got to come back up here and say at 60 miles an hour it was spinning this fast. At 30 miles an hour, it'll be exactly half of that much. So at 30 miles per hour, you're going to be spinning at that 14.23 divided by 2. So 7.1215 or whatever rotations per second. Okay. And then you're going to do exactly the same thing we did here. You take this speed, this rotational speed, turn it into how fast the tire is moving, but instead of the 12.9 inches, you've got to use the smaller wheels. You've got 3.8 inch tires now. So looking back up the top here, I'm going to have the 7.25 plus 3.8, which is 11.05 inches. So that's what I'm going to use, 11.05 instead of the 12.9. So what I should be able to do, this is half as big because that's the 7, so I'm going to take this answer, cut it in half. I'm going to take that answer, cut it in half. But then I'm going to divide out the 12.9 and bring in the 11.05. Essentially, you're doing the same thing again, but instead of multiplying by 12.9, you're going to multiply by the 11.05. Oops. Sorry, I'm trying to divide it out, and I divided out the wrong thing. I'm going to divide out the 12.9, and I'm going to multiply in the 11.05, and it looks to me like you're traveling 28 miles per hour. So even though your speedometer thinks you're going 30, because you have smaller tires, you're not actually rolling as far as you think. The speedometer is measuring how much spin is in the wheels, not how far you're actually moving. It's converting it. So if your tires are too big, you're actually going faster than you think, right? Where did we get to? You thought you were doing 60, but you're doing 65. If the tires are too small, you think you're doing 30, but you're only doing 28. Okay. Anyway, there's some of the calculations for that one.